Well, you know a Super Switch is coming. Like,
Yeah, it's gotta be.
I
It's
don't know.
gotta be.
I when it comes to Nintendo products, I solely because I keep them, I don't sell them or anything, and so I have this weird like hoarder mentality of like I'll just buy the best one of that generation and then I'll leave it.
True.
Yeah, Game Boy Advanced, don't need it. Game Boy Advance SP, I'm buying 4.
I need it. I need the clamshell.
Yeah,
I need
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Did you before we like really start? This could be part of the show. Did you see how bad the N64 like expansion pass thing is performing on Switch?
Yeah.
People really
Yeah,
dislike
because
it.
okay, and Jake, I think I texted this to you. I can't remember. This may have been in my head. I think I might cancel my Nintendo subscription because suddenly realizing that I have to pay more made me really think about what I have right now. And I was like,
You don't
I'm
use
not
it.
playing SNES games.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna play Metroid, Super Metroid, and then I don't need it anymore.
Yeah.
So I might legitimately just cancel because I was like, I don't want any of this. This is not where it's at.
It's not a good service.
Which is hilarious that their pricing was so bad. People were like, you know what? I'm good. Never mind. I didn't need this to begin with.
No, I'm really bummed. I'm gonna get it just to play Ocarina of Time, and then I'll cancel it.
Are you gonna buy the controller?
No.
Then the controller's not even worth it.
I
It's a shit controller.
I might buy the controller. I'm not gonna lie.
That's true. I would not buy.
Like,
I thought about you.
My thought process is like a PlayStation 4 controller, because you can buy the SNES controller if you're a member, and the N64 controller. PlayStation 4 controller, if you hold it with your thumbs up, it's just an SNES controller, like 1-for-1. It's a D-pad and 4 buttons.
With joysticks, yeah.
Well, the joysticks are on the bottom though. Like if you look
Okay,
at
I see
it
what
in
you're saying.
terms of
Sure,
your
sure,
thumbs,
okay. Yeah, okay.
I don't need to buy the Nintendo SNES controller because I have like for my computer for a Bluetooth, because I have the PS4 controller. That's the same thing.
I really want the
N64 controller
PS5
is pretty darn unique though. I'm just saying, if I needed a Bluetooth N64 controller, this is kind of all you get.
If you really needed to play GoldenEye, that's about the only game that feels good on that controller.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see how it goes.
Hello and welcome back to the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, episode 75. I'm your host, Jake Burke, and joined, as always, by the man right below me, James St. Charles. How you doing?
How's it going? I'm doing good.
I'm so happy you're here. It's always
Thanks.
a pleasure.
It is always a pleasure. It's just a wonderful time. It's just a good environment, and we're all happy gamers.
It's true. Unfortunately, we also do have one other person on our show. Our rotating third guest.
Hello!
Ted Libby. Yep, he's here.
Hey.
Yep. Just,
I'm excited to be here too.
Just hanging out with Ted.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Jake hasn't figured out how to lock his Discord server, so
No, I can't figure it out.
I get to be here every week.
And I can't make another one. It's really hard. It's just weird. But enough of that, because this is the 75th episode of the Sidescape Gaming Podcast, where every Monday morning a new episode goes live on youtube.com. Once a week, we Discord over 500 miles to talk about a gaming-related topic and what games we are playing today. Ted, you and I have played and beaten, ? Did you beat it?
No.
Metroid Dread. You didn't beat Metroid Dread?
No. I mean, I have seen all 3 stages of the last boss. The only thing I'm missing is the final cutscene.
Okay.
I am good. We're gonna round up on this one. And
we'll talk a lot about it.
I have pretty much completed Metroid Dread.
Yeah, okay. And we're going to talk about that today. And remember, if you want to be part of the show, you can always email us at thesideescape.com. Nope, thesideescape@gmail.com. Please do. Throw us a question. Whatever you want to do. We had a good time with it the other day. Okay, but before we start, I got a little, some things I want to talk to you boys about. Some very quick news stories of the week. God of War 2018 is coming to PC in January. And it's developed by an external studio, coming to PC. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
Worried about the external studio, but from what I hear, like they are assisting with the current God of War, but we don't know like to what extent. Like, what does that mean? Like, are they just helping with some assets? So, but that's a good sign. Like that they know God of War, so this could be great. I'm definitely really excited for it. Like, I think it's like one of the number 1 right now on Steam wishlist pre-sale.
Is it on the wish list? Is it available?
You can pre-order.
On Steam?
You can pre-order it right now.
Or look at it.
So it's like the highest pre-order like ever.
Yeah.
It's one of the best games ever. Are you guys going to play it on PC?
Yes.
Ted, you have not played God of War.
No, I have not.
Are you going to play it on PC?
I'm going to try, yeah. I'm very curious. I'm going to argue at the end of this year that my prediction was correct. Sony is definitely pulling to have the PC in their inventory. And it's interesting that they're doing this, like, it's almost like a re-release. And it's kind of funny how how popular it is. Like, you know,
it's a great second wave of marketing for a game.
Yeah,
that came out
like
4 years ago.
you know,
it's a smart thing, right?
Yeah, so much of the conversation nowadays is how games are released in a multi-staged platform, like early access, and then release day, and then console release. Like, there's 3 different points where people can jump in, and it's cool to see Sony take that initiative and just be like, yeah, we're gonna take this to the PC.
I think it's very cool. It's very exciting.
I'm happy for them. And I'm happy for the memes that will be made from the character asset.
The
generators.
mods.
Yeah, the mods, exactly.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I was reading like today that there's some leak that PlayStation Mobile just got renamed to PlayStation PC. I don't know how true that is, but it was a really interesting like filing that PlayStation might be making like a big move here.
PSPC.
It's PlayStation PC.
PSP.
Instead of PlayStation Mobile.
Not to be confused with PCP.
Yeah. And then Game Pass, I think they recently had like 166% increase in console sales, which is, like that's great because whenever the consoles come out, people buy them. I mean, that's just the same boat as like PlayStation 5s right now, but they're still doing great. Like I think there's no competition here. It is just more getting the IPs out there. So.
James, I can play Nintendo 64 games on Nintendo Online Services, so I don't want to hear any more of this no competition bullshit.
It's true.
When you get to play like a first like AAA PlayStation title like on a PC, it feels great.
It's really cool. And they've also pointed out that it will be playable on the Steam Deck, so God of War 2018 is now a portable game once it releases in January.
That sounds a lot of fun.
That's crazy.
That sounds really
and then just a little fun story, because we've really talked a lot about the Blizzard Activision lawsuits that are happening. Blizzard and Overwatch have officially changed the name of Jesse McCree to Cole Cassidy. The renaming was initially announced in August. The character was formerly named after Blizzard employee Jesse McCree, who exited earlier that month alongside others ongoing allegations of harassment and abuse. So they changed the name, Cole Cassidy. Thought that was just kind of interesting that it actually happened. And
I think people will still call him McCree, but they good name change, I guess.
Do you think they're gonna edit the digital short, the animated bit that they made of Jesse McCree, where the cowgirl will come up spinning her pistol and just go, and then it just cuts out to say Cole Cassidy.
It's still her voice moving, but like it clearly says
years. Yeah, like just clearly.
Are they? They have to redo a bunch of voice lines for every single character in Overwatch that calls McCree. McCree.
Yeah, it's not a simple change of just like doing it in the menus.
Yeah, it's not just a name change.
Name your character after a real person.
That's true.
Blizzard has announced that they will not do that again. They had like a company statement.
You don't do that.
I bet. Yeah. My thing is like I don't really know who was hurt by the name Jesse McCree, but if people were, I hope they are happy. I get it, especially the way this person left. Like that does not sound fun. Cole Cassidy is fine in that sense.
Yeah. I just thought it was an interesting story, and we've been following that a lot, so I wanted to just kind of bring that up. But now, Ted, it's really your time to shine.
My time to shine.
It's your time to shine, but I'm here along the ride, shining you.
Am I going to play and beat the final boss on air right now?
Right now. This is the chance.
No amount of bleeping can stop. Yeah. Oh,
I want to talk to you about Metroid Dread. But before we really review it, I want to talk about some facts about Metroid Dread that I gathered, because it's kind of an interesting game. We've talked a little bit about it when it was announced. Metroid Dread was developed by Mercury Steam, based in Madrid, Spain. They are not owned by Nintendo. They are just a secondary studio that they use and they contract with. Mercury Steam Games previously made the Castlevania Lords of Shadow series for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, and Metroid Samus Returns, which came out on the 3DS 2 years ago. Metroid Dread is the
4 years ago.
4 years ago. Holy shit. Okay, there it is. Metroid Dread is the fifth and final in the conclusion to the 2D Metroid series. Metroid released in 1986. So this is a sequel to a game that came out in 1986. And there are story elements to all of it, which I thought was pretty cool. Dread is the first original side-scrolling Metroid game since Metroid Fusion in 2002. Dread has had the highest grossing... What?
There were 2 Metroid 2D platform Metroid games on the DS. Metroid
Really?
Federation and Metroid Other M.
Well, neither of them are 2D scrollers.
Are they like not 2D? Like, is it
No, it's
2.5D?
well,
Is that the...
well, Federation Force is like that.
I mean, it's a mess. It's a bad game.
Yeah, it's like a sports game almost.
Yeah,
and then Other M I think was like kind of like Prime-ish, wasn't it? I'm not familiar.
No, that was I thought it was 2D. I did not play these games.
I heard Other M is supposed to be very bad.
Yeah, that's kind of what I heard. This is the first good 2D Metroid game.
In the timeline, they talk about Metroid Other M is not really mentioned in the timeline.
Okay.
But I think like stuff that happened in it is referenced in this game. I don't know.
Okay.
Metroid story very confusing. But the thing is, this is at a very great launch in the UK, and it was the highest launched game in Japan, and it's already outgrossed every other side-scrolling Metroid game in Japan. So it's selling very well.
But just to say, Metroid is not very popular in Japan, so it's not like super crazy like it did well.
Metroid never sells incredibly well.
Yeah,
this
was news to me that Metroid was never a Japanese seller.
No.
It was
a Western seller.
Yeah, it survived solely based on Western.
Samus here.
Yeah, and European sales.
Yeah, it's big
Japanese
in the UK.
Audiences did not take.
Oh yeah, UK is big.
Yeah, it's really big. So Ted, you've played Metroid games. A lot of side-scrolling Metroids. I've played a few minutes of Super Metroid, which you can actually see on Side Escape because it's the only Super Metroid I've ever played. What did you think of Metroid Dread? And tell me kind of how many hours it is, and maybe if you want to explain Metroid Dread a little bit.
Shoot, I did not. I was supposed to look on my Switch right before. I think my hour time is, I think, 9 hours on the gameplay time, and my item completion is 50%.
Oh.
So that's kind of where I'm at.
I finished around 9 hours, like 45%, 30% completion rate, somewhere in that range.
Yeah. So this is the 5th game in the Metroid series, and for the first time that I remember, they really honed that in of like, remember this? And I'm like, no. What is it? The basic premise of this game that I can remember is that after the events of Metroid 4 Fusion, Samus is doing her thing. She gets a communication from a planet called ZDR. Yeah. The Federation government sends a task of robots.
Oh yeah,
they send a task force of robots to go there first.
EMMIs, right? The Emmys. Yeah.
Emmys. Yeah.
We'll talk a lot about Emmys.
So those go dark, and then Samus is brought in after that to find out what happened to those robots and to find out what's going on the planet.
And what did you do?
Yeah. And so this is where it gets confusing because like I've played a lot of like Metroid Fusion, which is a really good self-contained little story of like they kind of just go, hey, remember the Metroids? Super weapon designed by aliens and you beat them? Cool. Metroid Fusion is all about like a different bioweapon that it takes over and mimics other entities. Yeah, and that's kind of the whole gimmick, and it's super contagious. And that's why these robots are sent to this planet in the first place, is because
they see an
living things shouldn't touch the X. X is bad. And they really tell you that in the beginning. And then Samus goes to this planet and is immediately bamboozled. Who would have thunk?
Loses all of her stuff again.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Physical amnesia is what they call it, which is just perfect. And then from there, the story is sort of fight your way back to your ship. Yeah, is kind of sort of where it's at.
That's how it always is.
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
And it is a Metroidvania. It is a explore areas, find secrets, move to the next area.
So I got into a discussion about this in my personal time. Describe to me a Metroidvania.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, a Metroidvania would be a gameplay style where you are exploring an environment, but there are certain things that block your passages to other areas of the environment that you have to get new items or weapons to move through the block to access them. Yeah.
That's what I said. A Metroid, it's not an open world game, but it's not a puzzle game. It's kind of a maze that solves itself as you go through.
Through progression. Yeah.
And that's kind of what this game is, right? A classic Metroidvania is you come to a wall that's too high, you jump, you miss, you go, I can't get there. You walk the other way, you fight some battles, you beat a boss, you get a high jump, and then you can jump over that wall and continue your progression. That's kind of what it is. It's a maze that you get the abilities to traverse, basically. And that's what this game is.
Oh, yeah. So, Ted, what did you overall think about it? And then we'll dive into a lot of kind of the more depths of the game.
You know, so I marathoned this game, which I think may have been a mistake. I I got to the end of this game in 3 sessions. In like 2 3-hour sessions and then a 6-hour session at the end. And I did that because Metroidvania is so often you'll get lost in the maze, and if you take a break and you come back, you go, I really don't remember where I was or what powers I have. I don't remember the clues or the hints to kind of guide me to the next place. So I thought, I'm just going to do this in big stretches. And I think that was ultimately a detriment. I would say I was really hot on the first half of this game and really cold on the second half of this game. How did you feel? How was your progression through it?
That's a great way to say it, actually. I was like, I was so high on it for like the first 6 hours, I would say. But then I think what I started to really think about with this Metroidvania is now it's these games created the genre, right? Like this and Castlevania really create, obviously, Metroidvania. And now we've had so many in between when Nintendo last did this that I think there's been much better Metroidvania games. So playing a Metroid game that like feels like a bland Metroidvania, in my opinion, like, and I'll explain kind of, I don't think it's totally bland, but I think it shows its like architecture a lot.
Well,
which is not.
And to kind of go back to fun facts, this game was originally projected to be a sequel to Metroid Fusion 2005. In that time period. In 2005. A lot of this was conceived in 2005. So my first impressions of this game that I wrote down is that half of this game feels pulled out of 2005 in a really cool way. Like I was feeling nostalgic for character models and enemy action and behaviors that felt like, am I playing a DS game right now? Like it felt really cool. It felt like the same people who drew the monsters from Metroid Fusion animated the Metroid or the enemies from Metroid Dread. That was really cool. And then the other half just felt really bland. I don't know if you felt this, but like some enemies were like, this is really cool. And some enemies were like, is that just a blob that floats in the sky and attacks me? Like, so I was kind of like lukewarm about the beginning part of it already. And then you get into the actual Metroidvania. And so what makes this game different than other Metroidvanias is the game kind of sort of closes and opens the levels as you play them. So it's really difficult to backtrack.
It's almost handholdy in how you need to move through the game.
Yeah.
And I think that's a detriment to what the game is.
Oh, because I was going to say the opposite. I loved it. Oh, really?
Because for me,
go ahead.
For me, like I played Hollow Knight at the beginning of this year, and that game is like basically fully just go wherever you need to figure out how to get where you need to be. And like for me, Metroid Dread, like I would go somewhere and I'd want to go back and backtrack and use the new power I got to go get the new health and go get the more rockets and stuff. And then I couldn't do that. The game was like, no, you can't do that. You got to go this way.
Yeah.
And I was like, but your whole game is about getting stuff so then I can go back and get more stuff.
Yeah.
And that just felt very weird to me.
It's definitely different from what a Metroidvania has been. I really liked it because it kept this idea of like, as long as you go forward,
you're okay.
You'll get where you need to go. And so that was really cool to kind of go to areas, and then as you do things, you know, you're rerouting power, you're closing doors, you're doing this, you're doing that,
I like that stuff. Yeah, I enjoy that stuff. Yeah.
You know, there's parts of the game where you like will pull down on the ceiling to lower it, and that blocks off where you were going, but now you can go forward. And so that was this really cool thing of like, okay, I'll never really get lost because I know generally speaking, if I can go forward, that means I'm doing the right thing. And, you know, it's a Metroid game, so if I missed the missile upgrade, they're probably going to have me just come here again later. And you do, and it's really cool. And it's really cool to kind of go around this ridiculous map that makes no sense. It is as non-linear as it gets.
James, hold on, just for your context for James. The overworld map shows like the areas, and there are like 7 different areas of the game that are all connected by like trams and elevators and teleporters, and it like the map just begins to look like this.
Yeah.
I'm like, here's how and like you like look at the map, you're like, I have no idea how to get from one place to the other. So let's just
and so it isn't really of like
a cluster.
You're not like staring at the map going like, how do I go north? You're just like, I'm just gonna go forward and figure it out. And I thought that was really fun and refreshing, and honestly a great introduction to Metroid games.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
So you think this is a good starting point for people?
I think it's a great starting point.
I did think that in the first half.
Yeah, I guess so.
But then after the halftime, you came back and then the Jets won.
The Jets won.
Yeah, so I'll keep talking about my highs of this game.
Yeah.
There are two types of bosses in this game. There are humanoid bosses that kind of look and act, 2 arms, 2 legs kind of characters. And then there are monster bosses, which is classic Metroid. Monster bosses do all kinds of crazy, dumb things.
Awesome are the monster bosses?
The monster bosses are fantastic.
They're like 10 out of 10 bosses. There is a boss that's in a lot of other Metroid games, Crag, the dragon guy.
Yep.
Dragon,
yep.
Yeah, he's in like a bunch of games. That boss fight, phenomenal.
Yep. My roommate was concerned I would get a noise complaint from downstairs. I was shouting so much.
Because of the little bouncy ball things?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, 100% was.
No, exactly. You can blow them up.
Yeah. Yeah, the monster bosses are fantastic. They ride a line between like, I know what to do, I just need to do it, kind of Dark Souls-esque, it's tough but fair, and just like pure frantic madness of like, I'm just shooting everywhere, and it's a mess. It's crazy, it's ridiculous, and I love it. Monster Boss is great. Should we talk about the second half of this game?
Well, yeah, we'll get there in a second. So we'll reach the second half and humanoid bosses in a little bit because But I would agree with most of what you said. I think the beginning half is like very strong. Yeah. You unlock like James. There must be 45 abilities in this game. You are unlocking a new ability every 20 minutes.
Cool.
To a point like where there's one point like I kind of forgot what certain abilities did, and you have to start utilizing a lot of what you have at the end of this game. Yeah. And I was like, how do I do the double jump like precisely? Yeah. The final boss is all like precision with that infinite jump, and it's maddening. And I think like the exploration's very good. I think that the combat, I got a lot of issues with how Metroid games have always controlled, so that's just a thing. But I think like the first half is very good, and then it has this shift of like once the X get involved, you unleash the X on accident, the other parasite. Wow. Yeah, spoilers. Shoot me. That's I think when the game goes like, I wouldn't say significantly downhill, but it gets to a point where like I'm kind of done. I'm done playing Metroid, and that's how I felt at the end of the game.
So you played? Did you play the majority of this like mobile? Like on like how are you guys playing this? Are you playing
I played half and half.
TV?
I played half on the TV and half on the mobile.
I will talk a little bit more about this later. I played this all on my TV, and I played it all with the Pro controller.
Okay, yeah.
Which was a huge mistake. The Pro controller has a larger thumbstick, and
the Joy-Con,
and it's oversensitive. So, like in classic Metroid of yore.
Oh my God, you have the Game Boy.
Of course I do. It's the D-pad, and your Metroid's character can only point horizontally, and there's a button to angle her 45 degrees, and that's it. There are like 3 ways you can shoot in Metroid, and it's easy. Modern games, Samus's arm can rotate all directions, and the oversensitivity of the Pro controller just means that I am missing by a hair constantly, and it was infuriating.
I have to say, just in general, from what Metroid I've played, they all, in my opinion, play like crap. I hate the holding down of a button to activate your missiles while trying to hit the
I love it.
The X button. Well,
it's stressful.
I hate it.
It's stressful, Jake. That's the point.
I hate it so much.
Play with a fight stick.
Yeah, there it is.
I thought about it. I definitely thought about it.
Okay, so then you get to the second half of the game. You unleash the X.
Sorry, before you guys talk about the second half, I just have a quick question. How is the music? The music is always like the best part of Metroid games. Was the music memorable, good?
So, no. Short answer. The sound bits, the sound clips that are capital M Metroid, finding an item, loading in a save. Those are there. And those feel fantastic.
Okay.
That was great. I would say the overall music, though, was a little bit lacking.
I think so. This game does like cutscenes, like pretty high quality cutscenes in certain bits.
High quality for a Switch.
Yeah, for the Switch. I mean, yeah, it's all pejorative. But when it does the cutscenes, the music in the cutscenes I think is really good, and like the production value in the cutscenes is pretty awesome. Yeah. James, there's a moment where the big dragon monster Craig is like going to attack you, and Samus is just looking at him, and she's charging her blaster just like at her side, and it's like the coolest. She's like not even looking at him; she's just like charging the blaster. It's like it's fucking awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah. Let's keep this. Samus is a badass.
She's
in
great.
Like a weird like I want the HBO show that goes into Metroid, because Samus is just a stone cold killer in this. She does not give a shit.
No.
It is kind of hilarious. Jake was saying there are like these really cool cutscenes, and she is flipping and sliding around these bosses, and almost every single boss involves you grabbing their mouth, sticking your cannon in, and just shooting until they're dead. And you're like, oh my god.
So there's a mechanic in this game, James, that it may have been another Metroid game, so I don't know if it is, but you have like a punch, and you.
I think it was the remake of Metroid 2 introduced this.
Okay, so Samus Returns has it.
Metroid fans, shoot your comments below.
Yeah, please let me know. Like I said, never played a Metroid. So when like an enemy will like flash, and you can like basically counter their attack with this punch. And so a lot of bosses have these like kind of like cinematic moments, like how you beat them is to get them in this like counter mode. And there are some where like you'll counter and you'll like jump on the thing's back and like ride it and shoot it. And it's like this like almost like half cutscene, half QTE quick time event, and it's like super dope. Like watching you are Samus like firing into the back of this thing's neck. It's really cool. Like all those moments were like awesome. Yeah. But very unique too for like a Metroidvania to have like kind of those kind of like switches and angles, and it was really cool. It gives you a very interesting sense of scope in a Metroidvania.
Yeah. Jake, you've never played a Metroid game. So I have said, and I think I've even said it on this podcast, Metroid Fusion is a masterclass in tone and atmosphere in terms of soundtrack and lighting and kind of some presentation, cinematic aspects. It's really good at making you feel alone. And so I feel a little bit biased in saying that that didn't really get me this time. Did you feel spooked or scared?
No, I felt like way too confident in this game and like too powerful. And I feel like the only time I was like, I guess I'm not powerful, is you'll like talk to the computer, and the computer constantly reminds you at these save points that you're not powerful enough yet. Yeah. Like it constantly just like
weak.
Yeah, like the computer's like, and remember, you're not as powerful as you used to be. Like if you find a boss, like it's gonna be hard. It's like, all right.
Man.
But yeah, I don't think like that they didn't nail a tone in the world.
Yeah, there were a few moments. I think there is a water level, and specifically there's a part where you're underwater that just feels kind of spooky. And I was a big fan of that. But yeah, generally speaking, I did not feel that same sense of like I feel alone and a little bit creeped out.
Well, this is I think this is a good time to talk about the Emmys, the EM.
Yeah, this is a great transition.
So, do you want to explain them? Or you want me to?
Go for it. You do it.
So Ted mentioned in the story bit that the Federation sent these robots to like investigate and neutralize the X parasite. Well, when you land on the planet, they've been like hacked, and so these impervious robots, you cannot kill them, are hunting. Well, you can eventually, but in the beginning you can't kill them, and they are hunting you, and so you enter these like little rooms that they will like stalk you and follow you, and they're like constantly like pinging for you to like track you, and then you have to just run away from them and escape. And you can kind of counter them, but it's like really hard. It's like a random gauge.
They say up front like this QTE QuickTime is going to be randomized. It is not meant for you to defeat.
Yeah,
like they say right up front, like if you win, it's because you're lucky. Don't do this.
It's win because we don't care.
Yeah, and so you die constantly. So you are just being hunted by these things, and you can hide. You can turn invisible and hide at some points. And like, sorry, I guess I'm spoiling some powers you can get, but I feel like they're essential for explaining this bit. Eventually, they give you some tools to hide from them a little bit for like a certain amount of time, and then you have to go run back and escape from them. And you do this a lot. You do it 8 times.
So
or 8 of them.
There are 8 of them.
Yeah.
Jake texted me late at night about this, and I actually said I liked them. And I did. I think the beginning Emmy encounters are really interesting. It's a really interesting tonal shift from, like you said, kind of being overconfident to then you just go into this room that is designated as like the Emmy patrols here, and it's dark, it's quiet, enemies aren't there because the Emmy takes care of all of them for you.
Yeah.
And you're just kind of slowly walking around with a dot on your mini map that kind of generally speaking says where they are. And it's neat, it's cool. Then you get killed by it.
Yep.
And
cool.
you restart right outside the door, and it's fine. The checkpoint system is great. And you kind of figure it out, and you move forward, and you get killed by it 5 more times, and it's whatever, it's fine.
It's fine until you have to explore an area, and you got to keep running back in this friggin' room.
Yeah, and
get
then
murdered by it.
the Emmys, and I would say this halfway point that we're speaking of kind of also is a halfway point for the Emmys, where they suddenly make the Emmys really sensitive to you.
Yeah.
To a point where it almost feels like the game's unfair.
Yes.
There's an Emmy at the end of the game that just always knows where you are no matter what.
It's really fun.
Always.
It's really fun.
Always. It becomes less of like I'm gonna sneak and more of just like I guess I just run because I get killed in 10 seconds.
Yeah. So now we get to the second half of the game.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on Metroid Part 2?
Okay. So a reoccurring character set in Metroid that I've never seen before because it was not in Fusion is the Chozo, which are the aliens from the first game. I guess they show up in the second game and the third game.
Yeah. They're the little statue guy that's like holding
First of all, they're the little statues holding the thing. Exactly. First of all, they look badass. I just want to say they look like if
like Alien?
No, they look like if the Arbiter from Halo was like drawn in an anime.
Oh.
They look very cool.
Interesting.
That's good. That's a good description.
Yeah. And then so at one point they're kind of like mini boss encounters. Like they're not like you don't really gear up for them in the same way you do for a boss. They just kind of show up and it's like surprise, you're fighting a Chozo warrior.
So they're always an enemy?
No, I think it's the first game they're an enemy.
I think this is the first game you actually get to see
I thought they were the ones that were giving you the powers.
Yeah.
They were the, and I'm gonna get this wrong, and people are gonna be mad at me. They were the like lost race you were
precursor
fighting,
race.
Right? Yeah, and in this one they're here, and you fight this mini boss encounter, which you didn't know about because it's a haha surprise. So you're at half health because you've been exploring, and these encounters, it feels like they played Dark Souls and were like, this is too easy. These guys are accurate. They are unpredictable. They are fast. It is stupid. So just imagine.
And you can only kill them with missiles. Okay. You can only kill them with missiles.
Yeah,
that's a pain.
I got to
because you have limited missiles, right?
Yep.
I got to a point where I think, and I don't know this for sure, my missile count was about the same count. Like I was at 55 missiles, and I'm pretty sure I needed about 50 to kill him, and so I couldn't miss. And that's just where I was at in the game.
50 missiles?
Yeah. And like I said, they have 4 or 5 attacks that are fast and accurate, and there is no build-up animation, kind of classic boss stuff. They just out of nowhere. Sometimes it's a karate chop, sometimes it's a charge, sometimes it's a shotgun. And you kill it, and you're like, oh my god, that was crazy. And then you do it again. And then you do it again. And then you do it again about 6 or 7 more times.
You get an ability that helps you out eventually against them, but yeah.
I marathoned the last half of this game in a 6-hour session. I texted Jake. I was like, I've fought 4 Chozo warriors. The last 2 of them were in a row. It was rough. It was not a fun experience. Fun fact, Jake, do you remember the red Chozo warrior, the story-related one, the second to the last one?
Yeah.
That does not run well on the TV. So that boss fight was the same thing as all the other boss fights, but with lag.
Oh, that
with input lag.
I didn't play that on the TV. I played the only thing I played on the TV after the first half of the game was the final boss because I was like, I can't beat this on the Joy-Cons. The buttons are too small.
Yeah. I really had a bad time. On top of that, and I'll Jake, I'll pass it off to you in a sec. They are fast, they are accurate, they are tough, you know? How do I put this? As you play a Metroid game, you kind of find stuff, right? You're finding missiles, you're finding health. That's how you play the game. You start out super weak and stupid, and then you slowly build out into yourself into this overpowered monster. Except in this game, they make the bosses harder each time. So every time you finish a boss, you find more health packs, you find more missiles, and then the next boss does more damage and takes more missiles to kill. So you don't feel stronger. I would say every single boss fight, every single humanoid boss fight, these Chozo warrior bosses, it was about 4 hits to kill. Every time. So you have you have up to 4 mistakes, and you're supposed to hit them about 60 times with missiles. And so that was really rough. On top of that, you can only end the fights with these QTE cutscenes. So at some point, you shoot a missile, it breaks into a cutscene, you have to press a button, and if you don't press the button, everything resets and you have to keep fighting the fight.
Yes, and that is the biggest issue of this game.
That was like throw controller at the TV for me of like, oh my god, I did it. Oh my god, I missed the button press, and now I'm dead.
So Ted, there are 3 phases to the final boss. You guys will appreciate this.
Yep. I've seen all 3.
I texted James, like, upset about this final boss. I think I told you guys about how mad I was when we were playing Back 4 Blood.
Yeah.
I was like, this is utter bullshit. I can't beat this guy. And then I really sat down and was like, Eye of the Tiger, I'm gonna beat this motherfucker on Sunday morning. And I did. But on like one of my final tries, 3rd phase, got there, kicking ass, taking names. I trigger the QTE. I barely miss pressing frickin' X on the timing. He kills me, or like he like breaks out of it, and then I have to refight him, and he just kills me, and I have to go back to the 1st phase of the boss.
Yep.
It like I almost quit.
Yeah. And it's, for me, it's one of these things of like my best moments in some of the other Metroid games is that Eye of the Tiger moment of like, fuck this. The spider boss sucks. I'm just going to sit down and do it and be better than it because god damn it, I am. And this it pushes that bar. Maybe it's my age. Maybe I'm just old, but like it pushes that line just a little bit too far where I'm like, I'm beating my head against a little bit too hard of a wall here.
Yeah. I don't really have any major final thoughts. I feel like I've kind of covered what I wanted to say about Metroid Dread. I think it's worth playing if you want a Metroidvania that is like very Nintendo-ish. But I don't think it's a $60 like must buy.
That's right, $60.
Well, one thing I'll say before my final thoughts, Jake, I'm curious about this. When the Switch came out, I was on the team on the side. I was on Nintendo's side of like, you know, it's not as powerful. That's fine. You don't need graphics. As long as you can be creative with what you have, you can still make a great game. This was the first game where I was really like, these graphics feel a little bit dated. This is the first Switch game that I've really been like, this is, and this is like chugging boss fight aside, I was just like, this is just a little too chunky for me. Yeah. How'd you feel about the graphics?
I would agree with that. I think the bigger issue is that there are so many Metroidvanias that are out now and playable, and you can go play Hollow Knight on Game Pass, and it has a great art style. It's got and like I think the problem is this game doesn't have an art style. It's just like that weird half step of like trying to look really nice, but also there's not enough power to make this game look really nice. So this is where we are. And it just doesn't. It
looks like cool. A PS2 game was going for realism.
Yeah, you know like it should have had like Breath of the Wild isn't this like HD beautiful game, but like how they use the art style makes it beautiful. Yeah. And like I was surprised that Nintendo didn't like really gear into an art style. I mean, I guess Mercury Steam didn't gear into an art style. It was just kind of like it's a little bland.
Yeah.
And I think it starts to show kind of that it is bland towards the later half of the game with combat, with everything. I think it just kind of comes to that.
So. Yeah. My final thoughts on this, and I was really hoping to say something along the lines of like this would be a great introductory Metroid game, but now I'm like, if you were really looking for a Dark Souls level challenge, if you were looking to bash your head against boss fights, this is a great game. But yeah, ultimately I thought the experience was like, clearly they were making it from a place of love, but I ultimately felt like it was a fairly bland experience. You know, and that mostly just became, at some point it became like, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. They're just making it tougher.
Yeah.
And I didn't want tougher necessarily.
Yeah. I felt the same way. My thing is, I think there are other Metroidvanias to play if you want one, and there are much better ones out.
And this is maybe a side tangent, I would argue go play the older ones. Super Metroid is a great game. Metroid Fusion is a fantastic game. Unfortunately, there's no way to play it legally.
So this is the only thing that it's not a spoiler, but it's weird that this happened at the end of the game. So if you don't want to know, it has nothing to do with the story, but like what Nintendo does when this game ends. This game ends and it's like basically something along the lines of like the conclusion of the Metroid saga, and then it shows like an image of Fusion, and that's just like it. Like it's like Samus
image of
a Fusion logo.
No, of Metroid Fusion. It's her in like the Fusion blue suit with like the ooze coming up on her, and it's like that logo or like that picture like on your screen for a second, and then it just ends. And so it's like, are they saying they might remake Metroids or something?
The Fusion.
Yeah, so maybe Metroid Fusion's gonna be remade. I don't know.
Narratively speaking, this series needs a reboot.
Yeah.
Because I'm not gonna lie, and maybe this is a spoiler alert, so we'll keep on the spoiler train.
Spoiler train.
This story is really bad. It's not a bad story necessarily. It's just delivered really bad. It's like a whole bunch of nothing, and then a character shows up in the world who explains everything, and then a whole bunch of nothing again.
That's actually my favorite part of the entire game. There's like randomly like a 10-minute cutscene with like English dialogue where this guy like has to tell you the plot of the game, and it was like, for a guy that's never played Metroid, I was like, oh cool, okay, I kind of understand what's happening now. But I was like, this is kind of ridiculous.
For someone who's never played or who has been playing Metroid, I was like, okay, this is all new information to me too. So weird. Metroid has never done this whole like exposition of what the world is, but they did it.
It was bizarre.
Yeah, it was a little bizarre.
Yeah. All right. Final thing, Ted. Would you recommend people play Metroid Dread?
That's a tough question.
Fuck.
No.
Okay.
I think they should play the other Metroid games. I think your money is better spent getting Nintendo Online for a month and playing Super Metroid. Or if you can, play Metroid Fusion. That's a fantastic game.
Okay. I like it.
Yeah.
I would say if you really want to play a Metroid game, it's a decent Metroid game to play. If you are hankering for it. But there are, like I said, there's just so many other Metroidvania games to play. It's not like you need to. Okay. We did our review, but before we go, we'll try to make it like a somewhat quick segment. But James, I know you got a game you've been dying to tell us about.
Definitely been dying to tell you about.
So crack your knuckles open, pop a beer, tell us what we're talking about.
So, this past weekend, I played almost 18 hours of this game called Inscription.
Holy shit, 18 hours?
I was playing with a friend, and I think we timed ourselves. We played for 12 hours straight. Like, could not put it down. This game is like a good book. It is unreal how the premise of this game is so basic, but it just like goes beyond. The creator, Daniel Mullins, not really well known. After I beat this game, I wrote a review, and I never write reviews for Steam, and I said, this game is the creator's magnum opus. I was like, what a refreshing, marvelous experience.
What is it?
Let me tell you.
He's building up.
Inscription is the game. It's Devolver Digital published. And this game came out of nowhere. $18? $17.99?
Yeah.
Really, like, no fluff about it. And there's not much known about it. And that's what's great, because you shouldn't know a lot about it. You should go into this blind. But I'll tell you what the overall game is. The game is a roguelite card game, like Slay the Spire. Okay. That's the game, with a twist. However, to get to the twist, you have to play a lot.
Okay.
Like, you can't beat the game under, like, it has to be like 18 hours. Like, that's what I'd say. It's around there. So you have to put your time into it.
Is it single player, or when you said
single player?
Okay, so you weren't playing co-op.
We were just both playing at the same time. Yeah. Like I was a little bit ahead of them, but it was just like sharing experiences. This game does things like just moments in it, like I never thought was possible, kind of thing. Like, it is so well written, timed. Things happen perfectly. Like I'm just still blown away. Like
is it the same concept of Slay the Spire, of like you're kind of sort of building a deck and then
Yes.
facing off enemies, and you're progressing through a sort of linear thing. Okay.
It's basically like that, but it has I'll just say it has like a hidden meaning to it kind of thing that you unlock over time. The only downside about this game, the only one downside is that like I feel that the replayability is not quite there. So that's why it is a little bit different in the roguelite where it can't.
That's
okay. I was about to say, yeah.
But from what I've heard, they're gonna change that. So we'll see. It's because how the game opens.
But it is a single experience that you can finish start to end. And
you basically spend like probably like 10 hours playing the game, and then the game like opens up, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, it is
unplugged from the Matrix.
I bought it for both of you. I bought it for like 4 or 5 people just to play, and I've heard nothing but like great things from them. So they've really enjoyed this. And
Ted just discovered that you bought it for him.
I just figured.
God,
did you really? Oh, thank you. It's like I bought it for 5 people, and I've heard nothing.
It's like, yeah.
You heard something from me. I texted you right away. How dare you?
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, this game, it's like simple on the surface, but it's fun, creative, puzzle solving. It has all these little moments. The only thing I'll warn you is that like you'll see a guy in this game. It's not the creator; it's an actor. But I wish it was the creator because it would have been absolutely hilarious.
So I know you don't want to tell us too much about it, but I have like
I want to know what you do. When you say it's a card game, is it because like what Slay the Spire was like?
Kind of, so I can explain how the card game works.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So I just want to know how the card game works because I'm thinking. The trailers make it look like you're playing Hearthstone.
Kind of. I mean, it's more like Yu-Gi-Oh, but you're because you have to sacrifice like for higher cost. Yeah, right when I say Yu-Gi-Oh,
okay.
Yeah, and
is it because you can do 15 combos and just wipe out the blow? Sorry.
That's new.
You can combo. Yeah, and then they all have different abilities, and you can like make cards, and there's like items. It's just really quirky. That's what I'll say. Like, and then it goes beyond that. Like I was like, it goes beyond. You're gonna experience this point in this game, which I hope. Like, and I want to talk to you guys about it because
I want to play it.
It like just blew my mind. Like it was. I cannot stop like thinking about how fun it is.
Yeah, I kind of don't want to know more about it because
that's what I want to like because when I was playing this game, like I was just like, how the fuck is there so much stuff in this game? And I just wanted to know what was happening next and what's happening next. But it is, it is such a well polished game. Like someone put some really deep thought in like about the interactions, about how the game works.
Yeah.
Oh,
so you said it's about 18 hours.
Probably about 18 hours.
Okay.
If you're actively puzzle solving and also playing the card game and
okay,
it'll take about that long. And it's a roguelite, so you're not beating this in one shot. It'll
right.
They force you to like keep
is it a roguelike or a roguelite?
Light.
Okay.
Yeah.
So by playing the game you are actively increasing your chances of beating the game.
Correct,
cool. That's what I need to hear.
My only question for you, because you said it was some dude's magnum opus. Is this your favorite game of the year?
This is my game of the year.
He says that every week.
I know.
No.
Get ready for more.
I swear it beats Deathloop.
The icon of this game is a floppy disk. Is that part of the twist?
No, but man,
he's lying.
Don't ask me about the fucking twist, Ted. I don't want to know.
I can always tell when James is lying. We're playing a game in a computer. It's a game in a game.
Especially
it's a game in a game.
You're gonna love this game. It's gonna be so fun.
I bet.
I'm excited to play it. We will play it. I'm sure we'll talk a lot about it on the show. But I do want to play it without knowing more.
I always said, I was like, damn, I wish this game actually came out to other devices. Like we were talking about, like, damn, it's not on Switch. There's a reason why.
Yeah, you said
you have to play.
You said you got to the point where you realized why it couldn't be on Switch.
Yes.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
Ted, before we go, do you have anything else to say?
Game?
That's not RTS.
If you don't, it's okay. You don't have to draw.
I do want to talk about this because I think it's hilariously bad. Okay. First of all, Age of Empires 4 is coming out soon. Excited for that. Haven't really.
Do you like my text last night?
Yeah, I do.
That was a great text.
Yeah, you said, I don't know what you typed there, but it was not trebuchet.
It wasn't trebuchet?
That's not how you said trebuchet.
I did the voice to text, and my roommate, I just went trebuchet, and he looked at me, he's like, well, who the fuck are you texting trebuchet to?
Who are you not?
I know.
No, so the National Football League,
oh God,
also known as the NFL, They released a video game.
This is the segment where Ted talks about bad mobile games.
So yeah, they released it's called NFL Clash. And
what about the Pokemon game?
The Pokemon game.
That was 2 weeks ago, James. Come on.
Oh, yeah, okay. You remember that?
No, that was Unite. That's great. They have a Halloween event now. Anyway, NFL Clash, which is a bad ripoff of Clash Royale. In every way, the menu looks the same. They're clearly just like stealing their ideas. I looked it up. Not the same company. They're just stealing their ideas. The whole like you have 4 chests at the bottom that take time to open. Stealing. But the actual game is kind of sort of like an auto battler, which piqued my interest because I like auto battlers. What it is you get a deck similar to Inscription.
And every other game that uses cards. Back for blood.
You build a deck of football players, of real football players.
Yeah.
Which is really funny.
Who's in your deck?
Because I don't know. I don't fucking know. But that's the funny thing is like I'll get notifications that are like
Pieton Manang.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you have a rare Alan Johnson card, and I'm like, I don't fucking.
Dearness Johnson.
No,
yeah, and I'm like, cards. I don't know. Yeah, you got a rare man-to-man defender, which is hilarious. But you have a deck, and then the field is set up like a football field. All you get is 3 linemen and a generic quarterback, and you use your cards to put out the different characters on the players, right?
Mm-hmm.
A better quarterback will throw better. Running back will catch football, right? Catch stuff.
Sometimes
they don't.
and then you kind of like the time is up and you hit go and then the game plays itself. Okay. And so you don't actually play. It's like Madden if Madden played itself and you just kind of watched.
Oh yes, my favorite parts of Madden, not playing.
Yeah, and so it's really interesting and there's a lot of it's all about the team strategy right before the action starts and none of the actual like having to press the right button at the right time. I thought it was really cool. Mm-hmm. It's a really neat idea. I have not played a game, and I have played on like cellular, on Wi-Fi, on everything. I have not had a game that did not horrifically lag to a point where I wasn't even able to pick or plot out my strategy. It's so bad. It's horrifically bad. Because like I was like, oh, like, you know, there's too much sports simulation. We need some like arcade fun. And an auto battler arcade or sports game sounds like a lot of fun.
Who's your QB, Ted?
This is not.
He doesn't know.
I can load it up for you.
You load it up. Do you want me to talk about the next thing, or is it?
Oh please! Okay. It's a really bad game. It was a neat idea. It was a really bad execution. Don't play NFL Clash. Yep. You're wasting your money.
Did we all watch the trailer I'm about to talk about?
Yes.
Ted.
We have to finish the fight. Again.
Okay, cool. I think we did. So I want to talk. They revealed the Halo single player content, basically what the single player is going to be. There's like a 6-minute
single
video.
player, no co-op campaign.
Yeah, they didn't say co-op, but you got to imagine co-op's going to be in there, right? Well, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, Halo 5 was only.
But co-op will come. No, they've announced that co-op's coming in like 2022.
My QB was Dak Prescott.
Oh, nice. Prescott.
He's level 3 and he's rare.
Nice. Good job, dude. He is pretty rare. There's only one of them in all of the NFL.
He's special.
It's really bad. It's a bad game.
So they showed off the Halo single player and what the gameplay looks like and what you'll be doing. And basically it looks like it's like an open world game where you are taking down outposts like Far Cry.
Yeah.
Is what I really got from that. Where then you'll occasionally must enter certain areas for levels like normal Halo, but primarily it sounds like what you're doing is freeing this planet or freeing this Halo from the banished control. What did
devastation.
The devastation? That's what they call it, right? They're gonna
no. I'm just saying.
They said something like they're gonna release like the next something on the Galaxy. I don't know.
I liked the trailer because it talked about like the new enemies, like what's going on. Like it kind of explained like what to expect, which sometimes you like to go in fresh, but then I like to like I want to find out like what the hell's going on. What is this story? Who's this guy that he's with?
Yeah, and so it looked interesting. I wanted to know your guys' thoughts on what you guys thought about this video, and are you excited for the Halo single player, or are you only really in for the multiplayer? Where are you at with Halo Infinite?
I hate to say it, a lot of this was eye rolling for me.
Okay.
And I think it's because I never played 4 or 5 in any meaningful way.
I didn't play 5.
And so I have kind of just lost the Halo story.
Yeah.
The last Halo I vividly remember was a lot of them saying we're going to finish the fight. And we haven't yet. So I'm kind of just like...
We're still fighting.
You know what? All you need to know, though, at least from this trailer, I guess, surmise, is Cortana's gone and Chief is finding Cortana. That's it. Like that's probably what 5 was about, or something like that.
That was what 5 was about.
Yeah. So we don't. That's literally what this is about. It's like Gears 4.
Yeah.
Gears 4 is basically set up for Gears 5, which Gears 5 was
that was good.
which that was good. So that's probably what this.
Yeah.
Give me Gears 6.
I have not had this build up of like a new story.
Yeah.
I'm still like remembering the old story, and so coming into this, I'm just like, this feels a lot like a TV show that had a really good season 3, and we're on season 5.
Right, like The Walking Dead.
Halo
That's
3 was
still
so
on.
good.
Yeah, or something of that nature. Of
So-
like, okay, guys, like, sure, whatever. Just let's.
Regardless of
Let's go.
story, what did you think of the idea of it being more open rather than just linear levels? Did that do anything for you as someone that hasn't played the last 2 linear leveled Halo games?
I mean, it comes at an uncomfortable time where I personally am over open world games. You know what I mean? Like, this could be really cool. Don't get me wrong, and there might be a whole bunch of systems and other things that are in there, but they weren't really explained in this trailer. For me, if you're going to do an open world like this, give me systems, right? Give me a base to build out. Give me something.
You get upgrades.
Yeah, give me
Show
something
that.
more than just go out, kill this camp, continue. Hopefully that will be there, and that will be really cool. But if this is just like Halo, but you just pick the direction that you go in before you do the Halo, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think this could be good, especially with the different types of enemies. Like, I don't feel like you'll be overpowered, and also I feel like they're teasing boss battles.
They are,
especially with the Spartan killer and all that, or Spartan Hunter.
With the shield and the sword.
That looked fun. So I'm curious how they're gonna do this. The linear levels, like in the past, that's been tried and true Halo, and so maybe that could be a little bit more. So they're trying something different. That being said, I feel like most people don't really care about the campaign. At least most people who are going to play this for free, because you're not going to play the campaign.
Yeah,
this is for the. I hope that they're making it for the actual Halo fans who are like either having Game Pass because you're going to have the campaign on Game Pass, or buying the game.
Yeah.
Which I'm curious how many people are going to buy the game.
It's funny you mentioned that, because how do I phrase this? Every single person I know who is a quote unquote Halo fan does not care about the story.
Yeah,
they are there for, if they're playing the Halo campaign, it is for co-op nonsense and sci-fi fun.
Well, so I think it's more for the fans who care about the story. That's what I'll say. Who care about Chief versus the Halo fans who just care about the
Halo 5.
Well, I mean,
Halo 5
is
Halo a different dude.
Yeah.
But
yeah, you know what I mean. It's just like there's a difference between the people who are just playing multiplayer, like COD, like that's it, and then the people who actually care about the story, care about what happens to Soap. Okay, go ahead.
No. I think you're right. No, I think you're totally right.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of like split between you guys. The story is like a thing I think I care least about with the trailer. It's more, they've like kind of just shifted the formula around. I was listening to a podcast talk about Far Cry 6, and I was like, I could go and like just mess with some outposts. Like that is super fun to do. And for Halo to then just offer that, I was like, oh, cool. Like, all right, cool. Like that's what we're going to be getting in this campaign, is like drop in and go explore an open world. That's like more interesting to me than the linear levels.
So just on that case, with Far Cry outposts, they're very creative. Like they're not all the same.
Yeah.
I saw like 2 of them that look the same in that trailer. If it's the same every single goddamn time, I am not gonna like this.
Well, yeah, my expectations are not very high for the single player of this game. The multiplayer is gonna be great, but
and maybe I missed this in the trailer. Could this be a platform for continual single player content?
Ted, do you mean like we talked about last week?
No.
This is like literally what we talked about last week.
No, like I'm thinking like Destiny is like a single player. Yeah. Not single player.
Weird.
It's like it's a bunch of campaign missions.
We're about to spawn in a whole new topic, yeah.
Yeah, well like Destiny is like a whole bunch of campaign missions that are no longer gated by level, that they just release as the seasons come out, and you just
they also discontinue the old ones, so
yeah,
that's awful.
But like, will this be a thing where like you load it up on day one launch, and there's a Halo story and whatever. It's kind of cool. And then they're like, 2 months later, they're like, oh, look what's happened to the Halo ring. It's totally different. We're releasing story 2.1.
No, they could do a Hivebusters thing.
Yeah, Ted, we talked about this last week.
Yes, yeah.
What is Hivebusters?
Hivebusters was it was a standalone DLC for Gears 5.
And it was a standalone campaign story as well.
Yeah, it was a campaign where it was all new characters doing just a new Gears mission that was 2 hours. It was cool.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was really
very good.
Do you think this could be a platform for that? To keep on the infinite train of they can just keep adding to this generic open worldy formula.
Yeah. We know so much about Spartan 117. I feel like they could do a really good job about introducing some more Spartans. Yeah, and of course we've seen Spartans before, but they're always bad. Just not very likable.
James, those Spartans died on Halo Reach.
Those Spartans were
sacrificed themselves, and you're just sitting here being like, they were kind of bad.
To be fair, they were bad.
They were bad, yeah.
None of those characters.
If we could get someone as badass as Master Chief, or
you guys,
that level, it would be sick.
Need to replay your Halo Reach. That is a heart-wrenching tale. I will hear none of this.
They sailed and
they died as heroes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching the 75th episode of the Side Escape Gaming Podcast. We are live every Monday morning, so please join us, and we will see you next week.